Hi everyone, I'm Holly Pike from ArtisticCutworks.com. Today I'm going to talk with you about how to get an SVG from your computer into your Cameo and how to trace a simple piece of artwork and send that to your Cameo as well. Not hard, we just have to show you how to do it. Okay, let's go to the software. This is the Silhouette Cameo software, and it's really powerful software. And the things that we're going to need to be concerned with today are just a few icons. The first one here is a new document, open a document, save a document, cut or copy and paste, and then to make the view bigger, you can use the plus sign or the minus sign to make it smaller. The other thing we're going to be concerned with is this icon right here. This one right here that looks like a piece of toast. That's our trace icon for when we want to use a JPG and send that to the machine. All the rest of the things I'll show you as we go about doing them. So let's start with a simple JPG. Let's bring a simple JPG into the software and trace it and prepare it for cutting. Okay, I'm going to go to Open, and I'll navigate through my computer to where my artwork is, and it's in my Shapes file. And here it is. I'm going to do the grad cap, the graduation cap. And I'll say OK. So now it's in the software. It was just that easy to bring it in the software. I'm going to make it a little bigger so we can see what we're doing. Now we need to trace this. You can grab this piece of artwork and put it anywhere you want for ease of use. I'm just going to put it in the center for the ease of your seeing it. OK? Very simple. I'm going to this icon, which is the trace icon. There are three ways to trace. Just a general selected trace, trace by color, and a magnet trace. I'll go over those in other videos. Today we're just going to do a select trace. I'm going to choose select trace. My cursor changes from the arrow to the little plus sign. Left click outside the area and draw a box by holding, left click, hold and draw around the area and release. Now you'll see everything turns yellow. That's exactly what we want. Everything turns yellow. For the most part, this is ready to cut. But if you notice, you can see a few things that aren't perfect. So you can use your threshold here, which will kind of change that image a little bit. The high pass is going to be off. We don't need the high pass for this type of thing. And you can use despeckle a little bit, which cleans up the edges just a bit. Now what I'm going to do is just click Trace. And it'll take a second, and there it is. You could probably see just a very faint red line around the image. I'll left-click, hold, and drag the image over here out of the way. If it's not on the mat, it's not going to cut. It is, however, attached to your file. So if you save this right here, you're going to get that image that's over there. So just be aware of that. Well, this looks pretty good, really. It looks like it did a really decent job. But I happen to know from experience that when you trace things and you get the outline, a lot of times there are lots and lots of little nodes. When you have too many nodes or a whole bunch or hundreds of nodes on an item, it takes longer for the machine to cut it because it's reading those nodes and where it needs to go next. So we want to simplify that. Now the nice thing is in the Cameo software, you can simplify that. In the Cricut and Brother Scan and Cut software, you can't. So this is a really big feature to me because I want my things to cut quickly and efficiently as much as possible. So we'll go back over here and look, and let's just take a look. I'm going to just left click on my item and click this icon right here where if you hold there, it's going to say Edit Points. Look at all those little gray dots. Look at all those little gray dots. Now every one of these little gray dots, the machine has to think, where am I going? And it takes time to cut it. And notice, if I get really big, it's not straight. It's not straight in here. So let's go back out a little bit. And what I'm going to do is simplify this with one click. You could go and delete these. I could select this and just hit delete and delete them. You could do that, but there's an easier way. I can just click this S sign right here and look at that. Look at how much simpler this design became. Now it's going to go, oh, okay, I have to cut here, cut, still keep cutting, come around the corner, cut. So much simpler for the machine to read this. I'm happy with this, so now I'm going to go back out to the size of my mat, and I'll grab my pointer again. Now I will add some color. I work in color, I'm very visual, so the lines are nice, and if you like the lines, use the lines, it's not going to hurt anything. But I like to work in color. So I'm going to select my design with a left click and go right over here to the Artist's Palette, and I'm going to choose a color. In this case, it just happens to be black because that's traditional. So now my design is ready to cut. At this point, when I'm happy with this, I'm going to delete this. Just left click and hit delete. I no longer need that artwork. If you save the artwork with your design, which some people do, it makes your file much bigger, and it takes up more space on your computer and on your customers' computers if you're going to be selling your designs. So I like to make my files as small, footprint-wise and kilobytes, gigabytes, whatever wise as possible. So I don't want that artwork in there if I don't need to have it. If I need it there for a reason, I'll leave it. But right now, we don't need that. Okay, so we're back to the software. And now we're just going to cut this. I'm going to take this and put it up into the corner, but I'm going to make it smaller. I don't need it really to be almost 4 inches. I'm just going to make it smaller. So this is ready to cut. And I find this to be pretty exciting because this is simple 1, 2, 3. You know, in a few clicks you have a simple design. Now that's not to mean you can go out to Google and just start downloading Google designs and tracing them and getting them made into SVGs and selling them. You can't do that. That's a copyright violation. That's against the law, and it's a federal law. So don't do that. If it's something like this graduation cap for your own personal purposes, you're going to make graduation cap for your baby that's graduating kindergarten. I don't see an issue with that. But you don't want to do this and give it to people and distribute it, or for heaven's sakes, don't sell them because they don't belong to you. Have the artwork drawn for you. I know it sounds silly, but that's the safest way to do this. All of my artwork that I use for my designs is either drawn by me, created with text that I purchased, or it is drawn by professionals and commissioned by professionals. It's not that expensive. If that's what you're interested in doing, we can talk more about that in a later video. Put some comments down in the comments if you're interested in that and how to find artwork. Put some comments down in the comments for me. So just understand that there is a copyright attached to everything on Google. And I know this industry doesn't like to talk about copyright for some reason, but it is a necessary evil to talk about. Okay, back to the software. Now we're going to cut. In order to cut this, I'm going to go right up into the upper right-hand corner and click Send. Well, notice it turns red. It's all red. It has to be inside this red line in order to not, if I put it here, it's going to get cut off right there. So your design needs to be inside that red line, and anything that's red is a cut line. So anywhere you see red, it's going to cut. Let me say that again. Anywhere you see red on this design is where it is going to cut. That's important. Now we need to come over here to the material, and I'm going to do a drop-down list and come down to vinyl, and I'm going to cut this out of glossy vinyl. Now I want you to watch right here when I change to glossy vinyl. Did you see that change from 3 to 1? And what that's telling you is, on the last thing that I cut that was probably cardstock, my blade had to be pushed out to a 3 depth or further out of the holder. For glossy vinyl, it needs to be less, so I need to retract that blade. The force has to do with how hard the blade is pressing into your material. And on this, it's a 10. The speed has to do with how quickly it's going to cut. You can speed this up. I'm a little more conservative. I like to make sure that I get a good cut, so I like it slower. I don't even mind slowing that down 1 to give it a nice opportunity to cut. And then passes means how many times am I going to go around this? And we only need 1 with regular vinyl. So now it's telling me down here that my Cameo 3 number 459431R is ready to go. And that's the one that I have right here on my table. So let's go over there and let's take a look at the Cameo. Your Cameo mat, now pay no attention to my mat because it's really dirty. I did not understand some things about the mat when I started, and as a result I have a bunch of dirty mats. So right here you can see my mat. It's got lots of cuts on it, and it's got a lot of stuff on it. Well, you don't want it perfectly sticky out of the box. You need it to not be quite that sticky, but what I didn't know was I should have been covering my mat every time I finished using it with this piece of paper that they have that goes on it. I should have been doing this so that it didn't pick up dust and debris. Well, I didn't, so that's on me, and I'll be better next time. But just know that you want to try and keep your mats from getting a lot of dust and debris on them. Cover them up. They'll last a little bit longer. But this is plenty sticky. This is plenty sticky for what we need to do. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my vinyl. This is not a full sheet. I don't need a full sheet. I'm going to take my vinyl and lay it down on my mat. Understand that there are 12 squares. These are 1-inch squares on the mat. On your computer screen, you're going to see 12 squares, 1-inch squares. These squares on the computer screen coincide with the squares on the mat, so that helps you place things, so there are hopefully no surprises. So now I'm just going to lay my vinyl. This is 651. I don't know if you can actually see that. 651 Oracal. This is standard, what they call sticky, sign vinyl, permanent vinyl. It's a standard stuff that everybody uses. I'm just going to lay it down on the mat, right within those squares. And I'm going to use this brayer. This happens to be a Brother product, but I think Cricut has one, and artists have them, and you can buy these on Amazon. Just go on Amazon and look for a Cricut brayer. You can buy it. And I'm just going to squish this down on my mat as much as possible. We want it to be down on there really, really well. We don't want it to shift. So hopefully we've got that. I'm hoping. Okay, now over here is the machine. The Cameo and the Cricut and the Brother are all similar, but they yet have differences. The Cameo has a line right here. It's a teal blue line with 2 little arrows pointing in toward the machine. There's also a little like beveled edge here. What I do is I put my mat against that beveled edge and up against this roller, and you'll see that it's just about in the center of this little arrow. That's where I want my mat when I load it. I'll hold it there and then touch load, and it loads up for you. If you've never loaded a mat, it can be a little scary. Okay, my machine is telling me ready. You may send a job from the software or select one of the following actions. So I can also select a job, a design from a USB stick. I just choose to use my computer via Bluetooth, which is just easy for me, but you can do that. Okay, so this is actually ready to go. But one thing that I do recommend that you do is do a test cut. So I'm going to move my design down a little bit because the test cut is going to go right here. I moved my design down a little bit. The test cut is going to go right here. And what the test cut does is it tells you, yes, your blade is correct. Yes, your material is correct. Everything's ready to go. Okay? The other change I'm going to make is this right here, auto blade. The Cameos 3 and 4 for sure have an auto blade. I'm not sure about the 2. I think it might. But I'm not a huge fan of auto blades because they don't always work. So I'm going to change this from auto blade to ratchet blade. And what that means is that instead of the blade automatically adjusting, I need to adjust this blade manually. There's nothing here that shows it adjusts. I know you can't see this very well. Can't even see the numbers. But this blade has to be adjusted manually. And to do that, we do that on the machine. It says I should have a 1 for my cutting depth. So we put this over here, just kind of sit in there and wiggle it around until it fits. And then, actually this is the wrong blade for that. Sorry, I'm kind of ahead of myself. This one we can turn. So I'm going to turn this one to about 2. The black ratchet blade is the one that you can stick in here and do that. I'll show you that. I apologize, another time. So I'm going to put this on like a 1 and stick it in the machine. I get so confused between all the machines. And we're ready to go. So now we look at the software and say, okay, we're ready to go. Let's do a test cut. So we're going to click test. Machine is still working. When the machine is done, I'll hit unload. And now I'll come over here, and up in this corner, right here, there's a little square with a triangle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel off the square. And the square came off perfectly, which tells me I'm good to cut this design. So now I'll put the mat back in. I'll put the mat back in. Line everything up and hit load. So now we're ready to go back and hit send. And it's going to cut. This is a Cameo 3 and it's a little bit loud, but it works great, and you know, I love it, so that's fine. We'll use a Cameo 4 at another time. Okay, it's just about done. Okay, let's unload. Now, to take your vinyl off the mat, I see a lot of people just going like this and pulling it. You're going to have a better luck with your vinyl not rolling if you peel the mat from the vinyl. Otherwise, your vinyl may roll and it may be difficult to handle and to deal with. So at this point, I'm going to cut this piece off so I can see what I've got. Now I'm going to do the weeding process. I'm going to peel out everything that doesn't look like my design. And you can see the cut lines very clearly once you have it in front of you. I'm very slowly going to peel this, and there it is. That's our design. And now that's ready to pick up with transfer tape and put onto whatever you want to put it on. And that's a very, very nice, clean cut. I'm really pleased with the tracing features in the Silhouette Cameo software. Okay, so that's that. Let's put that on the side. Now, what I want to show you is we're going to go back to the design area. And if you want to save this, which you might want to save this, you're going to go to File, Save As, to hard drive. A lot of people save to the library. Okay, a lot of people save to the library. That's built into the software, and it's cloud storage. I started out that way. I started out saving everything to the library because I thought, well, how cool is that? It's really convenient. I can just get there from my software. I don't have to go out. I don't have to do all that nonsense. And then I quickly realized that if I want to grab my computer and go to Starbucks, if I don't have a good Wi-Fi connection at Starbucks, I can't get to my stuff. And I said, well, those of you that know me know I have a control issue. Okay, let's be honest about it. I have a control issue. I like to have my stuff available to me when I want it. So I started saving to my hard drive just the way I save my embroidery digitizing files to the hard drive. I don't put them in the cloud except for archive and storage. Otherwise, they're on my computer. So I save to my hard drive. Someone else may teach you to save to the library. It's your choice. You can do both. You can do both, and it doesn't hurt anything. So it's not one or the other. Okay, so I'm going to save to my hard drive, and I'm going to go into my area where I save. I'm going to go into Teaching, my teaching file. And I already have a grad cap, so I'm just going to say grad cap B, just so it's named something different, and click OK. Now I'm going to go back here and save as to hard drive. And I'm going to save it to an SVG, Scalable Vector Graphic. And the reason I'm going to do that is because if you want to share a file, it's against Silhouette America's policy for you to share, sell, distribute, give away a Studio 3 file. You can't do it legally. You can't do it. So I export them as SVG files, which means when you import an SVG file into the Silhouette Studio, the Cricut, or the Brother, they're ready to cut. The cut lines are there. It's all ready to go. So it's the best way to share, sell, distribute, give, or whatever your designs. So I'm going to go to the drop down, or drop up, and choose SVG. So now it's saving GradCap B as an SVG, and click OK. And that's done. So now I'm going to say, okay, I'm done with that one. Sure, I'll save it before closing, no problem. Like belt and suspenders. That's all there is to tracing a simple file. It's really simple. Once you do it, you're going to say, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've never done that. You'll be shocked. Okay, let's do an SVG now. It's a little different. It's actually a little easier. So if you are interested in just going to my website, artisticcutworks.com, or any other website on the internet and downloading designs in SVG format, you'll be good to go, because this is easy. So let's go back to the software. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the same place to open. And as you can see, I've got these files here. Well, here's my ones I just made. Well, I don't want to necessarily bring those in. Or maybe I do. Let's bring that one in, the one I just made. There it is. There it is. It's exactly ready to go. And here's the thing you want to notice when you bring an SVG file in. It's already, you can barely see it. It's already red around the edges, ready to cut. So when I send this, it turns red just like the other one. But I didn't have to do anything. All I did was bring it in and say, send. So SVG files are amazing. They're the best way for you to buy designs. If you have a Silhouette Cameo and you go to the design store and you're buying designs, Silhouette Cameo designs are cheaper, of course, because they can sell them, and they have designers that can sell their Studio 3 files. But if you want an SVG file, you're going to pay about 50 cents more per design for that SVG file. I don't know why. They're simple to make. Our SVG files are way cheaper. Okay, so let's go ahead and send this. Let's do the whole same thing. Now, because it's a new document and I didn't use the old one, we need to change this again. Glossy. It's going to change to 1. We're going to cut, and we're going to go ratchet blade. Now, we've already cut this with this blade and this setup, so I don't need to do a test cut. I've already cut it, right? All I need to do is make sure my vinyl is on my mat, and there's enough to cut that design right there. That's all I need to do. And actually, all the softwares are pretty much the same when it comes to the SVG files. They're all pretty much uniform in that sense. Let's go to the machine. We're going to load our mat, the same as we did everything. The mat loading, all that kind of stuff is always the same, regardless of what you're cutting. Everything is the same. Okay, it's loaded up. Now notice my machine says repeat job or unload. No, I don't want to repeat the job because that's the traced one. I want to cut the SVG. Okay, so let's go ahead and send. It's kind of a mystery, isn't it? It's to me, it's fascinating. It's like the first time I saw an embroidery machine run, I was mesmerized and fascinated. Kind of the same with this. I'm kind of fascinated that the blade in there just knows what to do. We'll unload. Come over here again. Again, you're going to lay it down, hold this, and peel it off. You can do it the other way. Just know that your vinyl may roll. And if you're doing a big design, it's going to be far more difficult for you to place that design with vinyl that has rolled. Now, I know I'm bad about my vinyl. You should be more careful because you can save vinyl and be a little more economical with it. Okay, I'm going to again weed this. These tweezers, by the way, are weed and pick. And I also have the pick, which I love, and then the spatula for paper products. And these are manufactured by my dear friend Dawn at crystalEyeCandy.com. Go over there and check them out and tell her I sent you. These are the best tools on the market. I just don't use anything else. Okay, so this one peeled just as beautifully as the other, which is what I expected. And this cut is just as beautiful as the other. Yay! Okay, so let me see if I can get these up here so y'all can see them. I'll try and get them in the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful cuts. Absolutely beautiful. That's all there is. It's really not that hard. It's just scary at first. And if you're one of those folks I just dearly love that have sent me a message and says, "Oh my gosh, I've had a Cameo for 4 years and I've never taken it out of the box." Get it out of the box. Get it out of the box. You'll have so much fun. There's so much you can do. If you have grandkids, oh, sky's the limit. Embroidery's great. I love embroidery. It's really my first love in the craft business, but it takes longer. It does. It takes longer, and it's a little more limited into what you can put it on. This kind of stuff you can put on anything. Quick. It's just another thing. It's another thing for you to use and do and have some fun with. I am a huge fan of the Silhouette software, the Silhouette Studio software. I like it the best of the 3 softwares. You'll see in the next couple of videos why. That doesn't mean the other ones are bad. It means that they're not as powerful. They do what is required. They do what needs to be done. They handle SVGs beautifully, all that kind of stuff. This is just more powerful. This is a designing software. And if you're going to do this, you get a free copy of the Silhouette Studio, I think it is, when you buy a Cameo. You can upgrade it for, I think, $25 to the Designer Edition, which you will need for SVGs. If you want to cut SVG files like I just did, you will need the Designer Edition, and it's a $25 upgrade. If you want the Designer Plus, that gives you a little bit more, it's another $35. And if you want the Business Edition that gives you everything, we call the whole enchilada, it's like $99. So my theory is, if you've got a Cameo and you want to use this software and you want to design, just do the upgrade to the Business Edition. Otherwise, it's going to cost you $149 as opposed to $99. That's my advice to you. I get my software and many of my supplies from swingdesign.com. Swingdesign.com. I don't get anything for recommending them. Someday maybe I'll be an affiliate, but right now I'm not. So I'm just recommending them because they're good folks to do business with. And I like good folks to do business with. So go check out Dawn's site at crystaleyecandy.com or glittereyecandy.com, either one, and get your tools. And that's all I have for you now. I hope you enjoyed it. Get your Cameo out and get going. Oh, last thing, my question for the day. Every video has a question for the day. What do you want to do with your cutting machine? Do you want to make cards? Do you want to make cups and things like that? Do you want to make shirts? Do you want to make gifts? Do you want to do decals and sell them to customers that are going to do their own cutting, that you're just the custom designer? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Hey, if you're watching this on Facebook, put your comments below. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear what you want to do. Answer the question below. If you're watching this on YouTube, there it is. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell. You'll be notified of anything new that we put up on YouTube. Again, my website is artisticcutworks.com. I'm Holly Pike. Go over to the website. You can get resources, videos, tutorials, and designs. There's free stuff on the website. I think you'll like it. Thanks for joining me today. Again, my name is Holly, and I'll see you next time.